What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Rich Nice back once again. So today we're working on the Hellcat. As you can see, it's back there. So we're gonna unbox a couple of things. We've already removed the rear cover where your spare tire would normally go. We need to remove this piece right here, and it's just two push pins located here and one up here. You just pull those out and it'll come out. So we'll remove that, and then we'll remove the bottom of the back seat, and then once we do that, we'll be ready to do our install. So let me go ahead and remove those, and then we'll come back after y'all watch the intro and unbox all this stuff.
Dark side, light this bitch up.
See, all you do is just reach under here, pull up on it. It has these two little pieces right here on both sides, and they just fit down in these little rubber grommet looking things right there. And you do that and pull this out. And that will give you access to what we need to do our install, which is this right here. Just in case you don't know, this is your fuel pump, which looks like we're pretty good to go. Doesn't have a whole bunch of trash around it. We'll pull this up, and this piece right here will come up, and then we'll be ready to get to our install. So let's go over here and do some unboxing. Box came from High Horsepower Performance, and I'll leave a link in the description. So we'll set that aside. Everything unboxed. This is everything that was inside this box. We have our wiring harness, we have our external fuel filter, and then we have our pumps themselves. These are dual 225 4 innovations, and you can't really see the part number right there, but they're 4. And really, there's only 2 wires that we have to snip on the old pump, which is these 2 wires right here, which go to our sending unit. Everything else is plug and play to this harness. So first thing we need to do is go over here and get the old fuel pump out. So let's go inside. All right, before we go inside, these are some of the things that you need. This is a siphoning or transfer pump. Just in case you have too much fuel in there, you probably need to dump some out. I think we got like 1/8 of a tank, maybe a little less. So if we need this, we'll use it. If not, don't worry about it. We also have this, and this will release the ring that's on top of your fuel pump that's in there, and this will also lock that ring back in place. So you don't have to have this. You can use a flat tip screwdriver and a hammer, but anytime you're around fuel, last thing you need is a spark or something like that. So I'll leave this in the description. I got this from Amazon and it wasn't very expensive. Same thing with the transfer pump. And then you also need a 3/4 inch drive to use this. So let's go ahead, let's go inside and see what we can do. Top of your fuel hat, and basically once you pull this cover up, you'll have this one plug that you need to unplug right here. You need to make sure you pull this locking tab out. That way you can get that plug out. Just like that. Now this should depress and be able to pull out. So once we get that out, then we'll go ahead and put our locking ring wrench on here, and we'll be able to spin this and pull this pump out. So let me go ahead and get this top plug out. We got our locking ring on, so hopefully this will work like it's supposed to. We're able to use our wrench to get this out, and basically this is how it fits in. Fits in the top right there, fits in the bottom right there. And you just use it to loosen it. So it is what it is, nice and easy. Now your fuel pump will come out just like this. There's a couple of hoses in here that you have to disconnect. One is the return hose, which is right there, and then your main hose, which is right here underneath this right there. So I'm gonna go get some gloves and I'll be back. All right, YouTube, so that right there is your return line. It just pops out, and then your feed line is right here, and you just push that little button in. But I will need both hands and I'll be in the way, so I'll do this and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like afterwards. Once you get it out, you'll have your return line, which is this one right here, just a little skinny one, and then you'll have your feed line, which is a big one right here. You just gotta make sure you put this clip right here back in there, and it just slides on the top and pushes in, and this is what locks your fitting onto your new pump. So just like this. Looks like once you take it out, it's best to get some kind of container, because this basket does have fuel in it. But this is where your feed line goes. That piece that had that that tan clip in it goes on here, and then your return line goes in this piece right here. Before we can install our new pump, we have to take this fuel sending unit off, and there's just a little clip right here. There's that little clip right there. You just push that down, and then this whole thing will slide off this way, and then I'll show you what we need to do to connect it to here. Also, these two gray wires right here, these go to that sending unit. So we're going to cut these gray wires someplace up here. That way, if we ever have to reinstall this factory pump, we can splice those two wires back together and it should be good to go. So I'm gonna pull this little sleeve up. We're gonna cut these wires from the sending unit, and then once we transfer the sending unit over here, we will splice those two gray wires in here and should be ready to install. and it's wrapped around, so that gives you plenty of extra length. So we're gonna cut these right here, just like that. Pull them out. Pull them out of the holder. We push the little button in right here on the side, and then this should slide out. Sometimes you need a screwdriver, so let me grab that real quick. And just like that, there's your fuel sending unit. So I'll show you what we need to put it on this one over here. So let me go grab my Allen wrenches and we'll be back. To install our sending unit from our old pump onto our new one, we need to remove this screw right here. And I'm using a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. So we'll just basically take this out like this. And this will remove this plate, just like that. Your new fuel sending unit has this little piece right here that slides inside of this little slot right here, just like this. Slides in like that, and then you put it back on here and put your screw back in. So I'm going to use this right here. Just like that. And then we will connect our two wires that we cut to these two wires right here, and this thing is ready to drop back in. So I'll go ahead and I'll get these connected, and then I'll meet you back inside the car. We'll see if we can get this thing back in here. Just make sure that when you put it back in, that the fuel sending unit goes this way, because there's a little extra space over here for it to go up and down. So just make sure you do that, and make sure it goes in first, just like this. Just like that. So see how it sits down in there nice and flat. Big thing is make sure this green, as I get this back out, that green O-ring right there, that's your seal. Make sure that's back in there, and you shouldn't have any problem. Oh, take that back. There's a couple more things that we need to do. In order to get your fuel line in, those two, you got to take these 4 bolts out. I forgot about that. So let's do that and we'll be back. I know it's a little hard to see, but your return line is going to go on this little hole right here. It has a little silver piece on it. And then your feed line will go on this little nipple. And you just got to make sure that it snaps. And this is after you remove these 4 screws up top right here. And the kit comes with 2 longer Allen screws to go here and here. They will reach down and grab the basket and pull it up. That way you can put these 4 screws back in. So I will go ahead and try to get these because you guys are going to be in the way. And I need both my hands to reach in there and everything else. So, but I'll show you what it looks like before we put these screws in. It just, our return line just slides inside this silver piece right here. And then we have our quick connect, disconnect on back on for our feed line. And it just pops on. Make sure you hear that snap. Once you do that, now we're ready to go ahead and close this thing back up. I know it's a little hard to see, but here are your screws right here and right here. And we'll use this to draw this basket back up to the top so we can put our 4 silver screws back in. And we should be good to go after that. So again, I will get this up here, get these in, and show you what the finished product looks like. But in there you can see a little wet spot, and that is where the hole for the actual silver ones are. And you can see how much we got left sticking up. So again, you just use these to stick in there. They're only gonna go so far, and then you can use these long screws to pull the basket up. That way you can put your silver screws in and lock it down. So just FYI. One of the other things I forgot to mention is there's these little O-rings in here, like right there, and where the screws go in. Make sure those are in place when you get ready to screw your top hat back down. I decided to double check and found out that I had one missing, and it was actually inside the tank. So I had to take it all back loose just to make sure. So make sure you should have 6 O-rings, the 4 for the screws, this one big one right here, and then this one small one right here. So just make sure they're all in there, and you should be good to go. So now we can put this thing back in, put it back together, and we'll be back. All right, YouTube, we got this on. We got our screws back in, got our grommets back in, our O-rings. So the next thing to do is just put our locking ring back on, and we can go to the wiring portion. This is the hardest part of the whole thing, is getting the sending unit changed over, getting your pumps in, and everything else. So the rest of the stuff should be pretty easy and simple to do. So I'll go ahead and get this locking ring on, and we'll be back. Ring back in. There was a paint mark here already before we loosened it, so I just put this back in the same spot, and we used our big wrench to tighten it up, lined our marks up so we know it's good to go, and it's back in there nice and tight. So now on to the wiring. There will be 3 connections you need to make here. One will be this gray wire, which connects to this piece that we disconnected earlier, and then these 2 will come from our wiring harness, which we're about to go do now. So I'll see you in the trunk. All right, YouTube, this is our wiring harness. It comes with the kit. Again, everything's plug and play. We did the hard part already. So you have your 2 harnesses. One goes to pump 1. This says pump 2 on it. And it shouldn't matter which one is which. This is our second fuel module and the T-harness, and we'll use this to plug into the factory T-harness, and then we'll run pump 1 and pump 2 wires up to the front. So I'll meet you inside the trunk. So this is the factory fuel pump module. So basically you just unclick this one right here at the bottom, just like that. We'll take our T-harness, we'll plug it in here. So this is our T-harness right here. So this will get plugged into here, and then this piece will get plugged into here, just like that. All right, YouTube, we got our harness kind of laid out where it needs to go. We have our pump 2 connection that runs up to the fuel pumps underneath the seat. Here's our pump 1, the pump 1 that runs up to the seat. We still got to make those connections. Here's our T harness. So one side plugs into here, which is the second fuel module for our pumps. And then this is the factory one right here. And then this harness right here will plug into here off of the T. And all I did was just basically unplug this right here, plug it into this, and then this will take that spot up there. And then down here, we have 3 wires that we need to put on. We have a positive and 2 grounds. So the positive will go right here on this bus, and then the 2 grounds will go right there. And they should be 2 10mm. And then I think what I'm going to do is use some self tappers. This is hollow, so I'll use some small self tappers and put this in here, and probably put that up there on top of this one, just like that. If I put it down here on the side, it's uneven because of this hump. I really can't put it over here anywhere. So actually I probably could if I take this down and move this someplace else. So, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it'll be best to put it up here, right above it. And it sticks out a little bit, so shouldn't get in the way. So I'll go grab some self tappers and we'll be back. We got everything where it needs to be. Got our 2 modules here. We have our relay right here, right next to that gray plug on the wall. We got everything zip tied. These 2 go to the fuel pumps up front. So we'll finish zip tying those up all the way up. We just followed the factory wiring harness all the way up to the front. Here we have both our grounds located right here. And then we have our positive located right here. And then I zip tied the fuse to them right down there. So that is the fuse for the right here for the fuel pump. So next thing is to connect the 2 fuel pumps up front, and this thing will be ready to rock and roll. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the stuff back together, so it makes it look like nothing was back here, and we'll be back. All right, YouTube, we got our connections made to our dual fuel pumps here. I brought them through this grommet up here, just so they're not rubbing against this metal piece back here. I figured that is better than the alternative. So next thing to do is to put our back seat back in. We can cover this back up and see if we have any errors or codes. So let's see. Doesn't look like we got anything. So let's go ahead and give it a start. As you can see, There are no codes when we started it up, so that's a good thing. So I think we did a good job doing this. So not too bad, not too hard. Just takes a little time. As always, we're still on our quest to reach 1,000 horsepower. This just is another step in getting there. So these dual fuel pumps will help those 1100 cc injectors up front get that fuel to the engine and make more horsepower. Do is install this fuel pump. It goes underneath the car, so that'll have to be another day, another video. As always, we're on our quest to make 1,000 horsepower of this thing. So thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, hit the bell, hit the button. As always, I thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate you, I appreciate you, I appreciate you. Till next time, peace.